A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K. Coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. The fan who attacked Seth Rollins on Raw believes Seth catfished him.
Of course, that's what they do. Chavo Guerrero makes a controversial comment after Rollins is attacked by said fan.
Ronda Rousey is unsure if she's still employed by WWE, but believes she will return eventually.
Bully Ray and Velvet Sky sadly break up.
Jeff Hardy teases a Hardy Boys reunion.
Scotty 2 Hottie has quit NXT.
Triple H's eldest daughter begins wrestling training.
Triple H's cardiac event is said to be very, very serious.
Bray Wyatt has been confirmed for Wrestlecon Dallas appearance.
Kenny Omega has vacated his AAA championship.
And Big Swole has announced her departure from AEW. When's that coming up, Anthony?
It's all coming up, Carl. Right fucking now.
Okay.
I feel like we're gonna have to go more PG. I'm gonna have to stop doing that.
Oh,
Can that change it with something?
That whole this week in wrestling segment we just did then, I probably, we need to do like an F-bomb counter on that. But
I'll just turn it to Morse code.
Let's kick off then. Obviously, we're a little bit late with some of this news now because we had a bit of a week off. But as we know,
you're gonna sit and listen to everything we have to say.
You will. As we know, Seth Rollins was attacked by a fan at Raw. Now, the more and more you look into the story, the weirder and more bizarre it becomes. So, basically, the fan who attacked him, it would appear that he believed he was catfished by Seth a couple of years ago. So, basically, he believes that Seth had scammed him out of hundreds of dollars, and then managed to get his girlfriend arrested because of a fake check. So it looks like what's happened is he's found someone who's pretending to be Seth Rollins has somehow befriended that person, and that person is just looking for, people to exploit, basically. So he's ended up purchasing hundreds and hundreds of dollars of gift cards, that's what Seth Rollins would ask you to do if it was the real Seth Rollins, right?
It's just me, like, gift cards are getting such a fucking stigma now. There's going to be a problem with gift cards soon. Like, I don't even think they're going to sell them soon because every scammer in the fucking world just tells you to buy gift cards. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You see all these things on YouTube where the scammer tries to, we need to fix your computer, but for some reason you need to buy us some gift cards. Like, the fuck? Exactly.
But like the whole situation seems, we're just really, really sad. Sounds like it's been going on since 2019, or at least he's been planning the so-called attack on Seth since 2019. So, I think he basically scammed him out of a load of money, whoever this person was, and then when he was trying to continue to message him, he just stopped replying. But all the while, the guy who attacked Seth believed, of course, he was chatting to the real Seth and thought Seth had kind of done him over, basically.
This may be in bad taste, but given that Seth is still currently in his heel gimmick, maybe we get a backstage segment in the future where he's giving out ill-gotten gift cards for Christmas presents.
I mean,
just throwing it out there.
I wouldn't put it past him. Let's be honest. But a bit of
obviously this guy. I don't know how it feels. Like, I don't know if I don't put it. I don't honestly be insensitive when I say it like this, so apologies if it comes across that way. I don't know if this guy's got some issues or he's just like really aggrieved by the situation, and sometimes when, basically he's been the fool in that scenario, it's hard to admit that, so he's just convinced himself it was Seth. Like, the guy who gets millions of dollars from WWE on a regular basis definitely is going to scam you for a few thousand. That's, I don't know how you get to the point you convince yourself that was the case to the point that you attack Seth. But
he also,
I don't know.
He also posted on his Instagram story, "Thank you, WWE. I did it for the bloodline, my family, WWE, and for Adam Pearce. You're welcome."
Oh, okay. This guy's got some issues then. Okay.
You're welcome, Finn Balor. Much love. And then also tagged in Seth Rollins, Tamina, and someone else. So yeah, strange.
Okay. That guy's got some issues.
No, not good. But yeah, please, fans, don't jump over barricades. I'm still fuming that someone did that to Brett at the Hall of Fame thing. I am so pissed at that person for doing that. What a fucking idiot. So
honestly, I'd never understand the mentality of anyone who goes, "This is going to be a good idea."
Yeah, pathetic.
Like, how does that ever cross your mind? Like, I know obviously something like this is like it's the law of probabilities. I suppose millions of fans, someone's going to have a stupid idea at some point. But for God's sake, we've seen it happen over the years way too much for people to even consider it a good idea. I know people came at WWE for the security, but I don't know how quick he managed to get across there because apparently he even planned the position he was in didn't need to get at him. And I think it was handled fairly well, personally. Like, Seth didn't overreact. He sort of, a lot of people saw he got him he managed to restrain him, even though I can't remember who jumped, one of the refs or one of the kind of jumped into the situation and kind of basically loosened Seth's grip. But I think the situation was handled fairly well. They got enough bodies on it. They got the guy out of there. And luckily, there was no serious damage to Seth. He sort of, again, he braced himself fairly well as well because he got knocked on his ass, in all fairness. But yeah, a crazy situation. And sadly, I don't think it'll be the last time we see something like this.
No, but hopefully, like, at least maybe some vantage points are being exposed now, and maybe there can be more security personnel around there just in the future. But yeah, crazy times.
And then you get the rumor mill, don't you? People even going, "Oh, it was a work. Do you see how the camera just stayed on it and panned on it and stuff like that?" It's like, yeah, but it definitely weren't a work. Like, you can't have it as a work because people who truly still believe wrestling are real, right? And there are some. They'll think, this is my moment. This is how I get into the WWE. I'm going to jump the barricade. You don't encourage that kind of behavior by making it a storyline. Don't ever do it.
Unless you're Santino and you're a fan and you win the Intercontinental title on your first match. But,
Don't ruin my point. They invited him into the ring, Carl. Different to, like, rushing the barricade. He was invited into the match. That's clearly a work.
Don't do that, people. That's what we're saying.
Only climb the barricade if you're asked to climb the barricade. That's kind of the rule, right? Right? Or there's like a fire or some shit, and then everyone out, whatever.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
I'd say next one, but I think it's keeping.
Yeah, still keep it on that topic. I'll move on to the next one, Carl. And I don't know how you feel about this. Big fan of Chavo, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not as big a fan of Chavo anymore because Chavo, in relation to this situation, made a bit of and I'll call it a tongue-in-cheek remark. I don't know what he was going for, if I'm honest. He made a remark on his I think it was his Twitter, but on his social media, saying, remember when the wrestlers were tougher than the good old days. Now, he's obviously referencing many a time in the past. I think even Eddie was in one of these situations where a fan had got the way into the ring and they took a bit of a patent for it. And that was sort of the old school way of dealing with it. And so many people have come at Chavo over this. And to be honest, I'm a fan of Chavo, but it's hard to defend his comments because what do you want? Like, in today's day and age, if Seth had done any more than he did, he'd be facing some sort of repercussion himself, charges, whatever, maybe some sort of lawsuit, because despite the fan being a total numbnuts who jumped the barricade, if Seth had have been excessive, then WWE would have to pay the fucker, most likely. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same world now,
No.
So, again, it's hard to defend the comment. I don't really want to come at sort of Chavo over it because I'm not sure what he was going for with the comment. I really don't, because he later sort of tweeted some more saying he weren't trying to attack Seth, weren't trying to make any comments towards Seth, but it's like it was direct comment to what happened with Seth, so I'm not quite sure who it was aimed at then. Do you know what I mean? But again, I'll sort of stay away from that topic. There's so many people sort of come at him because of it. I don't think it's worth putting my tuppence in like that. How do you get to that conclusion? Like, it's just old school versus new school. There's a lot of shit you can't get away with now.
No, yeah, I agree with all that. And I think, to be fair to Chavo, so obviously he made that tweet and then he retweeted a gif of, a wrestler punching a fan who kind of tried to pull his mask off or whatever. He then basically did a follow-up tweet, didn't he, that said, that got out of hand quickly. Instead of deleting it, I'm going to own it and say no disrespect to Seth Rollins. I've had many agree and many disagree. It only comes from the love of this biz that, has fed my family for 85 years. The fact is, Seth should never have been put in that position in the first place. So
and
look,
that is totally good.
yeah, like the guy owned it. You know what I mean? He said something, people reacted negatively to it. Like in the old school times, you know, you would protect yourself, but you can't. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the
can't
thing,
do
and that's where I'm like, I don't know if he was trying to be tongue in cheek.
it.
You know, like make a little bit of a jab at like the old school versus the new school and that sort of thing. Because how many people talk about like, you know, and I know it's not quite the same, but the Undertaker talks about the wrestlers today being soft,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not, it doesn't get the same heat as this sort of thing. And I know it like Chavo made it as a direct comment to something that happened that shouldn't have happened, but at the same time, it's not a new thing to sort of make reference to the fact that they were tougher back in the day. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if he was just trying to be more tongue in cheek, but so after something, he's already sort of gone, yeah, that got out of hand, and he's made a fair statement to that. Like you say, he should never have been put in that position anyway, which is, yeah, what more can you say?
Well, yeah, exactly. So the next one to talk about is Ronda Rousey. So basically, she was on a Facebook Live feed recently, and the topic came up about the status of her current WWE contract. She basically alluded to the fact she doesn't technically know if she's still employed by the company anymore or not. She was quoted as saying, I don't think I am, but who knows? That's a question for the lawyers, she said. So don't really know what that means, but she also said that she keeps in touch with Steph. They you know, still send each other baby pictures and stuff like that. She hasn't spoken to Triple H since before he had his cardiac event, but hopes that he's doing all right. And then it basically got followed up question of, you know, when do you think you'll be back, if at all? And she said, I don't know, when I feel like it. Eventually, when I feel like, I don't know. So kind of alludes to the fact that she will come back. Obviously, she just had a baby, so. Yeah, maybe she'll.
The bottom line is she's still a draw. They'll get her back in at some point.
Well, yeah, if they can,
easily.
and she's open to it, then yeah, I'm sure that she'll be back. But yeah, I think she's obviously wanting to take some time away to actually have a bit of family time and stuff. So yeah, I don't think it'll be imminent, but could we see her back again in the future? Should her star still be shining brightly? Yeah, you never know.
Shining brightly. Right. So the next one, Carl, because sorry to rush through, but I'm not much to say on that. We might see you back, boss. Velvet took to Twitter. I'm going to say recently. It's not true at this point, but whatever. It was just reasonably recently to basically point out something that's only been the case for a little while now, that her and Bully Ray have actually decided to part ways. She said there's no animosity. And they'll always be cool with each other, and they wish each other well. And this is the only public comment they're going to make on the matter. But by all accounts, they've been split for some time. This is just them publicly announcing it. So I don't know what you make of this one, Carl. I think it's interesting that like it's apparently been the case for a while. Like, I don't know why I'm connecting the two. Apologies for this, but you know when Devon recently made a comment about them being cool with each other, they just do their own thing. You know what I mean? Velvet Sky was the first one to sort of react to that.
Mm.
But apparently they've been amicably split themselves for a little while. So you go, well, he's still getting in his business. Whatever.
No, yeah, it's a very, very good point, to be fair. So how...
No, not related at all. I just thought I'd mention that because it came to my head. But yeah, interestingly, they're not together. And
well, no, I think there's something to that.
Because he was punching above his weight by all accounts.
That's a lot of weight. A kid. Don't hit me, bully. I'm going to see you in Liverpool. If you ever watch this, please don't. Big fan.
Devon!
Get the table for me to hide behind. But no, I think it's an interesting point. Obviously, she's come out and kind of defended him very recently. So when they say that they've been split for or separated for a while, you know, who knows? But yeah, it's obviously it's a shame.
When she says that they're amicable and cool, they genuinely are. She still obviously has a lot of time for the guy. So
yeah, I mean, it's obviously never nice when something like this happens, is it? But you know, if they are still cool and there's no animosity there, then you know, hopefully they can. And fair play to them. Like, why does it need to be brought into the public eye instantly and stuff like that? Like, if they've been split for a while and stuff, then it just goes to show that you don't really need to fucking put your whole life on social media and tell everyone.
Well, at some point they felt the need to make it a public announcement, so you got to wonder whether people are like probing them about like, oh, are we going to see you two this, or are we going to this, or you know what I mean? And referring to there's a couple that they felt the need to mention it publicly, but I appreciate the way she's gone about it and said like this is the only public the comment they're going to make on it, and that's that sort of thing. So yeah, they're still keeping it as private as they can, but letting the world know in a way, you know.
Yeah, which is, can't say fairer than that, can you? So
The way to handle it, innit?
So the next one to talk about.
Nope.
Jeff Hardy
Nah.
continues to
Don't care.
tease a Hardy
Not
Boys
happening.
reunion.
Yeah. Fucking
Well,
tease.
you say that. He says, I think it's going to happen. I'm not sure where, and that's why it's kind of exciting. It can happen anywhere, man. Wrestling is very unpredictable. Contracts expire, people get released, all kinds of stuff happens. So, we'll see. I think our paths are going to cross again, and we'll reunite one more time.
As long as Jeff isn't in AEW, I'm happy.
Well, I believe Matt Hardy also commented on this recently as well and said that his ideal retirement match would be him and Jeff. It wouldn't just be him. So he plans to go out the way he effectively came in properly, which is as part of the Hardy Boys. So yeah, it seems like at some point we will see them cross paths again as a tag team. So interesting.
Thing is, and I'm not against Jeff, but like, if Jeff went over to AEW for this just feeds into that whole face paint thing with AEW. That's a thing, right? And it bugs me because it's so fucking true.
Yeah, it's funny because basically we've got someone from my work pointed it out to me who just started watching AEW, who's been away from wrestling for a while, and basically just said it's just face paints and super kicks, and you can't really argue with that because everyone does a super
honestly,
kick.
It was like a glass shattering sort of thing for me when you pointed that out, because I'm like, shit, like he's totally right. I can only see the face paint now.
Yeah, like literally everyone's got some form of...
Even some of the people who didn't have gone like, well, let's add some face paint. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So interesting, but yeah, so we may not be done with the Hardy Boys. We may get to see them at least once more teaming up, whether that's for a retirement or whether it's for a final run. So interesting news.
Indeed. So next one, Carl. I'm intrigued to know how you feel about this news. Like, a lot of people probably don't really think about the sort of backstage coaching elements of wrestling. But when I was a kid and I started watching wrestling, and I had no fucking clue at all. I'm going to admit this, right? I had no clue about wrestling at all. First wrestler I noticed, because he was goofy, basically, was Scotty Too Hotty. He was the only wrestler I could fucking name at one point, because I didn't really watch wrestling, right? Bear in mind, I'd watched WCW at some point, but when I was trying to get into the Attitude Era that I hadn't really known about, and we're all in high school, I'm like, who's this guy? He's funky, he does the web, right? So I'm like, I've always been a fan, low-key, of Scotty Too Hotty, because he was like one of the first guys I saw in the Attitude Era. And obviously, he's not been on screen for a long time, but he has been involved with WWE for a long time on the old Black and Gold brand. And sadly, we had a public announcement from him quite recently as well, and I'll read it out for you, Carl, just so you can get the full word of it. He says, "Today, I have asked for my release from World Wrestling Entertainment. 30 years ago, I stepped into a WWE ring for the very first time." That's part of the quote, but fuck, I feel old. I have lived my dream 100 times over. Some of the most special memories will always be from the last 5 years working with NXT. The Black and Gold brand was something special, and I am proud to have been a small part of that. I always promised myself that I would never be a part of something solely for the paycheck, and that was where I was at. I told myself that I would walk away if I ever got to the point that So that is what I've chosen to do. Coaching and producing the stars of NXT will always be a highlight of my life. I love you all more than you could ever know. The folded hands emoji, and that's where he ends it. Now, a lot of people have speculated about this comment, Carl, because you might have noticed he referred to his time working with NXT, and he referred to his love of doing it, but he referred to it very specifically as the Black and Gold brand. So a lot of people have jumped onto the fact that the reason he's leaving and the reason he's talking about being there solely for the paycheck is because of the heavy changes he's made to NXT and rebranding. Now, he's not out and out said that, but I can see where they're coming from. Like the timing and the fact that he's very specifically referred to a particular time period and a particular branding might suggest that a lot of what he did and a lot of the releases, he might not sit well with him, and that is me putting words in his mouth by all means. But obviously he's made it quite clear that he's not there for the love of it at this point. He's there for the paycheck, and that's what he doesn't want to do. So it's quite sad news, to be honest with you. Quite sad news.
It is. I mean, that stat in terms of how long he's been there, that is a mad one. To be fair, because yeah, it's a long time, and it's a long time when he first started. But I remember you getting into wrestling and that just being like Scotty Too Hotty's a ledge. So, but I don't know. people leave for all sorts of reasons, don't they? I've just I think we're going to add one in at the end. There was some breaking news that happened today that I forgot to add in, so we'll talk about that. But Beth Phoenix has also kind of decided she's going to be stepping away, so we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Makes you wonder though, is it like indicative of what the change of NXT? Maybe it's funny. Like no, we'll wait till we get to the NXT, the Beth Phoenix bit. Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah. But no, I think it's going to be a big loss for NXT. By all accounts, a lot of the people like Rhea Ripley and stuff like that who've recently come up have credited, him as being like their standout trainer and who's really helped them a lot and stuff.
I don't know why, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I feel like even Sasha Banks and that gave him some props, at some point.
Mean, if he's been there for ages, like he kind of says he has, then yeah.
He's always been in the background, just worming around, Takes him ages to get anywhere, but
yeah, but he looks cool while he's doing it. That's all that matters, right?
I mean, he looks fly today. No more jokes about that.
No. So let's move on to the next one then. So this one, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon's oldest daughter, Aurora Rose Levesque, has already begun training to be a professional wrestler, as confirmed by Steph. She was quoted on TalkSport as saying, "We've got 3 daughters, 15, 13 and 11. Our oldest said when she was 8 years old, 'I don't want to do your job. Daddy, I don't want your job. I want Pop's job.' So just like her grandfather, she wants to be the boss. So we'll see what happens with her, who's already started training in the ring. She said her youngest daughter's also very interested, but it's all about the personality. She said she can't wait to see what she's going to go on and do. But yeah, confirmed that they're already starting to potentially get into the business. So fascinating one. Just a small tidbit there, but keeping it in the family. Family business indeed.
Indeed. Sadly, sticking with the family. Just need to talk. Our next one is on Triple H's cardiac event. And not to be disrespectful, but I've never heard of a cardiac event until Triple H, to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure what that terminology is for. Are we skating around a heart attack, or is it literally? So I don't know. Anyway, sticking with the statement that WWE put out, they mentioned this cardiac event, and they actually said it was caused by a genetic heart issue. But he did say that Triple H is expected to make a full recovery. Now, this information has come from Dave Meltzer, and with the utmost respect, may not be 100%, but Dave Meltzer noted on, probably a couple of weeks ago now, on his podcast that the cardiac event, as described, was a very, very, very serious incident from a source. Not sure what source, but a source, right? And on top of that, Triple H has reportedly still not resumed any daily duties with the company, and it still remains to be seen when he's going to be back full time. So the reaction from the company not to bring him back to any duties anytime soon would suggest that it probably is more serious than they've let on. But on top of that, obviously Stephanie McMahon has spoken with TalkSport quite recently, and she said that Paul, obviously being Triple H, is doing great, and thanks everyone for asking, but she didn't sort of allude to it. And again, you wouldn't go, "Oh yeah, we're all absolutely shitting ourselves." It's not something you're going to say in an interview. So it's one of them. Like I'm not a big fan of the whole speculative thing, but we're all big fans of Triple H, and we hope that he is doing really well, and hopefully it's not. I hope it's somewhere closer to what WWE is saying and further away from what Dave's saying. But obviously, it's news, so we mention it.
Yeah, I mean, we did see him the other day, hard hat and all, checking out the new WWE headquarters. So it seems like he's able to move around.
Stuff, yeah.
But yeah, by all accounts, it is like Shawn Michaels and Albert, Matt Bloom, who are running NXT at the moment in terms of booking and stuff. I don't think he's picked up those kind of duties. So look, to your point, I don't really know what a cardiac event is, but it's obviously he's had some sort of heart issue, hasn't he? So in terms of the severity of that, hopefully it's as you say, it's more to what Steph's saying, where he's doing really, really good, and less of what Dave's saying, where it was very, very serious and might not be as rosy as Steph's making it out to be. So either way, just speedy recovery to the guy because he's the game, isn't he? So yeah, hopefully he's back doing that game soon.
Indeed.
So the next one to talk about, Bray Wyatt has been confirmed for Wrestlecon 2022. So taking place in Dallas, they released on the official Twitter page a artwork that says "We let him in, Dallas Wrestlecon 2022," and it's obviously the Bray Wyatt character as the Mr. Rogers kind of spin-off, the Fiend, and then the old school kind of Bray Wyatt cult character. But yeah, so he is confirmed in probably his first wrestling-related appearance since he was let go from the company. So,
and I was still very curious what's going to happen in terms of his wrestling career. I know a lot of people have suggested he's going to be dealing with this whole movie deal that he had that we mentioned in a previous podcast before he does anything in the world of wrestling. But I mean, the fans are waiting. It's interesting that he's getting back into the mix.
It's one of those. You say absence makes the heart grow fonder, but at the same time in wrestling, he was the hottest thing in wrestling, really, for a long portion of time. So you don't want to leave it too late, I guess. But yeah, hopefully we get to see him soon in AEW. I want him, but we'll see. At least we're going to get to see him in 2022 at WrestleCon. So yeah,
I agree.
We shall see.
We shall see. So Carl, my next one. Only a quick one, and I think it's sort of to be expected, but the Mexico's AAA promotion announced that Kenny Omega has vacated the AAA Mega Championship, and they are set to determine a new champion at the Triple Mania event on the 4th of December, pretty damn soon. And the reason I say this is a quick one and to be expected is because, by all accounts, he needed some time off. He was having some issues with his shoulders. I think he made an off-the-cuff remark over his work in AEW that he can wrestle without his shoulders, which is fair enough, fair play to the guy. But obviously, it couldn't have been a long-term thing. He's dropped the title in AEW. I think a lot of people were expecting him to drop this one as well. And surprisingly, he's vacated it rather than trying to do anything else, which I think is probably the right choice. But yeah, just a quick one there that we're going to see some changes over there on the AAA side.
Feels very weird for the belt collector to be beltless at this moment in time, but hopefully, it sounds like he's pretty banged up, so hopefully he recovers well and we get to see him back.
He's learned his lesson. Too many belts, it gets your shoulders, doesn't it?
That's it, they're heavy, them things. So the next one to talk about is Big Swole has parted ways with AEW. Now, it's like a mutual thing. She's requested her release, but without any ill will by the sounds of it. So she has put a statement out saying over the past couple of months, her life has taken on the mantra grow, learn, change. Dealing with shadow work took strength I didn't know I had. I thank God for my loving family because they got me through some of the roughest months of my life, but I realised the real test is application. So I took my leap, and after speaking with Tony Khan and AEW higher officials, we've decided not to renew my contract with AEW. This was a hard decision, but a needed one. I am grateful for their understanding and that we could mutually come to this agreement. I've enjoyed my time with AEW, and I wish them all the best. I appreciate their love and welcoming me into the family. Today is my last day, and as bittersweet as it is, I am proud to say I've lived my dreams while making a difference. That is Swole mentality, muscle flex emoji. So, no secret that Big Swole has been dealing with Crohn's disease for a long time, which has kept her out of action for significant periods. Obviously, she was very heavily pushed when AEW first started. Was very heavily involved with Britt Baker and the like. But unfortunately, the stuff with Crohn's has kind of kept her away for a little bit. So, based on what she's saying about having kind of really tough times and hard moments and things like that, I'm kind of alluding to it maybe being related to that and stuff as well. So if she's taking this decision, it's hopefully to focus on her health, and hopefully it's she gets better soon. It's a shame that she's going to go.
That's the thing. I mean, she's doing what's right for her, and that's always the important point. I think from a wrestling fan point of view, it's a real shame that she's leaving AEW, because not only was she a really good, I know we didn't get to see a lot of her in recent weeks, but she's a really good potential talent. AEW, one area that they really needed talent was the women's roster. So yeah, it's a shame when you lose any decent wrestler, but yeah, it's but like you say, she's doing what's best for her, and that's the main thing,
Yeah, definitely.
Defo.
So the last one that I've just thrown in now. So it was announced before. So Beth Phoenix has put out on her Twitter page that War Games is going to be her final appearance.
I know you have to say it properly.
War Games.
Thank you.
Is going to be her final appearance with NXT. Obviously, she's been part of the announced team for quite a while there now. I think she's done a pretty stellar job at that as well.
Yeah. But
she's decided to kind of hang it up after War Games, essentially, and spend more time focusing on her family and being at home. So, amicable decision from Beth. I think everyone can agree that, to turn her hand into commentating and stuff, it was she was really good. It was a refreshing take.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously she's making a decision for her family and for herself. So best of luck to her.
I'm going to take her on a word, right? But we do need to do some speculative element to this, right? So I'll take her on a word that like she's doing it because of family, etc. But again, we talked about Scotty before, and we'll talk about the timing of it. That not long after the rebrand, she's decided to walk away from NXT, and I find it interesting. Especially like she not too long ago, you might recall, put a tweet out in almost defense of the rebrand, saying like, the change isn't always a bad thing and so on like that. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what she said, but she was sort of like, watch it and see, you might be surprised kind of thing. And yeah, I think it's surprise. It feels like it's come out of nowhere. Obviously, we don't know what goes on in their personal lives, and we shouldn't know what goes on in their personal lives, so that's fine. And by all accounts, that's she's leaving to have more time with the family. Kind of makes sense given how busy Edge is as well. But I don't know. You always end up in that area of speculation, don't you? Going, has the rebrand affected it that much? Could it be a decision made on that basis? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's it. Who really knows? One of the company directives apparently is to get rid of older talent and things like that. But you'd like to think that didn't include the likes of trainers and commentators. But you don't. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they've like they did it to JR, didn't they? Let's be honest. They didn't want to sound Southern anymore, so they took him off the announced team. They didn't want it to be like old anymore, so they took him off again. They did the same with Jerry the King. So it's not the first time they've tried to switch things up for a fresher kind of take.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? As you say, it's purely conjecture at this point. It could just be that she has taken that decision. Because if you think about it, since Edge has come back, we haven't seen that much of him. Because essentially, Beth's been the one who's been working on a weekly basis. So, maybe they both can't do that. And, out of respect to Edge and stuff as well, it being his final
moving
run
into a feud like he is doing. Kind of the timing kind of lines up nicely, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah. So maybe it's kind of like, well, I'm going to let Edge kind of get a bit more time, like more consistent time in the ring, and not kind of write him off with neck injuries for months at a time. Actually, let him go at it for a year or something.
For his neck as well as part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, someone actually, forgive me, I can't remember the name of them. They put on our Instagram before, so we posted this. This is a piece of news on Insta before, and somebody speculated that it could be leading towards something at like WrestleMania, where they've basically taken her out of the spotlight, but then they're going to do a match at WrestleMania with Edge versus The Miz, but it's going to be Edge and why have I just completely forgot her name? Beth Phoenix against Miz and Maurice.
So, sorry, I thought it was Maurice's name you forgot.
Oh no, sorry.
You've literally just been talking about Beth. So I figured it must be the other one's name you forgot. But never mind.
The other one. So who knows? Maybe
I'm all for that. I think that'd be a great match.
Yeah, but we'll see. But yeah, so a bit of a somber one for Beth. But obviously, if she's doing it,
who do you think? Do you think they're gonna replace her, or do you think they're just gonna try and make do with two, or what do you reckon will happen there?
I'm not sure. I still want to see Wade Barrett get back on the ring, to be honest. So I'd be all for him stepping away and actually getting back in the ring. But
I'm so surprised it hasn't happened yet. Like, I was quite shocked when he returned to WWE, and then more so shocked that he didn't return in any sort of ring capacity. Especially like, hasn't he put videos up recently of like how much he can fucking like shrug weight wise or whatever? He can still lift. Like, he's still got like the physique for it. I know like being great in the gym isn't necessarily great in the ring, but like we already know he can go in the ring. So
yeah, I'd love to see. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Come back. That was quality. Maybe not with the whole gavel and all that kind of shit.
Because I feel like the Nexus might be overdone if they try and do that again.
Yeah. So that was the Ringside Report. So apologies if you've heard some of them, and some of them are old news, but hopefully we managed to get a little bit of a mix there with some very breaking news as well with Beth, and also
you could use
recent
Barrett's gimmick with that. I'm afraid I've got some old news.
And one or two new pieces. But yeah, so that was the Ringside Report this week. We're also going to be giving our thoughts on Survivor Series, again, significantly late. But we've also got an exciting...
People review old Survivor Series just because ours is not that old doesn't mean that we can't do it.
Well, let's see what the plays and the views tell us. But we've also got a really exciting interview as well, a returning guest. So make sure you look out for that also. So yeah, we will be back after some words from the one and only Griff Garrison.
This is Griff Garrison, and you're listening to A2theK.
A2theK. A2theK.
A2theK.